Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, the podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Dr. Bryan Gastelle, a clinical psychologist and group practice owner who works directly with individuals navigating anxiety, identity, relationships, and the pressure of modern life. In a time where mental health conversations are more common, but still wildly misunderstood. Dr. Gastelle brings both clinical expertise and practical insights. So, Dr. Gastelle, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
All right. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
You are, yes.
Okay. I wanted to make sure of that. All right.
Mhm.
So, for those meeting you for the first time, what led you into psychology and what made you decide to, open and lead a group practice?
What led me into psychology was just the love of it. I find the mind so interesting, and as time went by, I started to realize I really enjoy helping people and seeing the finished product, and those thank yous go a very long way. Um, what led me to a group practice was I got my degree. I had some experience, and then right out of the gate with after I got my license, I started a solo practice, and the model I was using, just like evidence-based therapy, try to make it as easy as possible and be collaborative, seemed to really strike a chord with people. And so I had a lot more incoming referrals than I needed. So I started a group practice.
All right, wow. Okay, so yeah, moving on actually, because my podcast is for, people in their 20s and mental health basically. So,
Mhm.
what are the 20s like and why is there such a, why is it so intense for people in their 20s basically,
Yeah.
psychologically? Mm.
The 20s are a big period of transition. We're going from, childhood and adolescence where things are kind of taken care of for us, and, basically into adulthood. We're trying to figure ourselves out. And it is just a huge point of transition. It's figuring out who you are, what you believe, how you want to live. And so, absolutely, I can understand people going through struggles that in their 20s. It's a big transition point, and I can normalize a little bit of the struggle there. It happens.
All right. So, what are, the most common issues? Because I believe you've spoken with a whole lot of people, right? So,
Mhm.
what are the common issues you see in young adults today, basically?
Yeah, so commonly I'll see sometimes like growing into new boundaries and independence. So maybe the situation is that, financially we all know it's a little harder to go off on our own, and so people are at that weird stage where they want to leave but they can't yet, and setting boundaries with the parents, establishing yourself as an adult. um, I'd say another big one is just like social pressures. Social media is a big thing too, with every age group, but especially those in the 20s.
Wow. Honestly, I feel like that was a very, very on point answer because being in my 20s, I could relate, right? So yeah, that was very, very on point actually. So do you think social media, right? Does it have an impact on people today, on our mental health basically, especially for the
Absolutely.
young ones?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's social media is all kinds of things, but one of the things that it is people's highlight reel, right? So very rarely will we get a post where somebody talks about their struggles, sometimes, but not very often. And so when people go online and they look and they're at their peers and it's all happy stuff, like highlight moments, it can actually bring you down by comparison because we're getting that super biased sample as to like how everyone else is doing.
Mm, wow. This just brought me to a saying. I think it says comparison is a thief of joy, right?
Mhm.
All right. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so moving on actually. Yeah, why do so many people feel left behind in their 20s?
I would say there's a lot of reasons, but one of them is probably just the shift in the times. You know, like today, um, I at a certain point you could get a job out of high school and buy a house and on one income, and that is obviously not true anymore. So like there's expectations from the generations that come before the folks in their 20s, and I imagine that there's like a big disconnect there. It's like,
Mm,
when are you
mm,
gonna move out or things like that, and so there's pressure based on this like unrealistic expectation. I also think that because of that transition period in the 20s, it's partly just trying to figure ourselves out as well.
wow. All right. So okay, I feel like that has, answered everything literally. So I want to move to anxiety,
Mhm.
identity, and relationships, basically. So, how does anxiety typically, manifest in young adults?
I would say anxiety can take a lot of forms. In young adults, it might be social pressures, might be academics, might be from their
Mm,
parents. There's a lot of external factors on folks in their 20s, and then it can actually come from within too. I don't want to discount the, maybe generalized anxiety people get or agoraphobia or things like that. There doesn't always have to be a cause, but I would say if we're talking about external stuff, then social pressure, academics,
mm.
family.
So, how can I overcome this anxiety as a young one? Like, solution coming from an expert, right? Or
Mhm.
an adult to a young person. How do I
Mhm.
overcome anxiety? All
There's
right.
lots of ways. It depends on where the anxiety is coming from. I would say that if it's like a thought or social pressure, like why am I here and why haven't I done this yet? I would say that to folks in their 20s listening, that there's a lot of time that can go by. You have plenty of time to establish yourself, and it
Mm,
feels like in your 20s, it's like do or die type of thing.
yeah.
But you have time, and that would be my message. Um, and then I think, and there's other techniques in the short term, like if anxiety gets really bad really quickly, there's paced breathing is a good one. So like
Hmm.
5 seconds on every in breath, seven on every out breath for about 2 minutes. Um, there's all kinds of stuff.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, you said, can you rephrase again this second something in breath and out breath? I didn't. Can you rephrase, please?
Sure. So for
Okay.
those listening, I'll do a quick intro to it. So
Okay.
if you want to try it for yourself, set a stopwatch and set it for about 2 minutes. Sit back, relax, close your eyes if you're willing.
Mm,
Focus as much attention as you can on the sensation of the air coming in and back out of your
mm,
body. And take 5 seconds on every in breath, seven on every out breath, and focus on the air as it goes in and out.
mm. I'm definitely trying that one out, actually. I'm definitely doing that.
Works.
Okay, so moving on, because we've spoken about anxiety, I want us to talk about, identity, because identity is one thing we, the younger ones, struggle with a whole lot. So we're trying to, figure out who we are. And with what you said earlier, we don't have to have it all figured out, right? We still have
Mhm.
time, even though we feel like we have to do it now, there's still time.
Mhm.
But then we still struggle with identity crisis. So,
Mhm.
I would like to ask, why do so many people struggle with this identity in their 20s?
I think the 20s is a period where we're really trying to figure out who we are. Before that time, everything's kind of done for us and, values are imposed and everything else. But in the 20s, it's like, okay, now we've got this layer of independence. And, you have this pretty big task of figuring out, like, who do I want to be? What do I want to care about? And it's not easy, but it is part of it. And I think just trusting yourself and, trying to navigate it as best you can would be my advice.
Yeah, and breathe in and breathe out, like you said, right? Okay. So, how can, moving on to, relationships and all, how can, someone build emotional maturity intentionally, actually?
uh, you said view or to to have it? Um, s well, all right. So emotional maturity in relationships, that is, I think you want to let me see if I can condense this. So, like in relationships, a lot of times we're focused on what we want, what our perspective is, and we lose what the partner wants and what their perspective is. So, we're very aware of how we feel, what we want. Try your best to focus on A, what emotion is your partner feeling? B, what are they thinking as a result? And C, what do they want? What's their ideal response from you? And
Mm.
if you focus on that, a lot of the problems will start to dissipate.
Okay. So basically, it's focusing on how your partner feels and not just how I feel personally, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this has been really, really amazing. I would have loved to ask a whole lot of questions, but I feel like we're running out of time. So maybe we could do this some other time if you don't mind, actually. Yeah.
Hmm.
But before, this comes to an end, I would like to ask you, yeah, what um what would you define success as?
I would define success as finding something that makes you happy and going for it.
That's very brief and at the same time broad, right? So
Uh,
finding, yeah, can you please just elaborate on it or like talk
of
more about
course,
it?
of
Yeah.
course. So I think we often get stuck in these benchmarks of success, like how much you earn or what do you do, and things like that. But the people I've seen that are the happiest are those that find their passion and make that happen for themselves. Uh, we work a large part of our lives, and so if you find something that you love to do, that is success.
Go for it. Wow. Okay. This has been really, really insightful and amazing. And yeah, thank you for this. I'm moved to ask you, actually, I was supposed to, end it off,
Mhm.
but I want to ask this one particular question. What advice would you, have given to your younger self, actually?
Good one. I would say believe in yourself.
Hmm.
Don't let anything get in the way of your goals, and you can do this.
Okay, so believe in myself. Oh, thank you so much. I felt like you spoke to me directly just now. All right. So yeah, this conversation has been grounding, incredibly valuable and insightful, actually. I appreciate the fact that, you came here to share your insights with us. So where can people get to know more about you and what you do, basically?
Well, you can check out my website at www.empowermytherapy.com. I handpick therapists from there, try to give everyone the best possible care. And even if you can't, for whatever reason, see a therapist right now, or you're not in a space to, I have articles and blogs on mental health management and valuable information throughout the site.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much. I would actually check out those articles. Yeah. All right. So thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on your episode. Yeah, Brian, do have a wonderful day. And yeah, thank you.
Of
All right.
course.
Bye.